All right, and that's the debate we're having a little later on today on a special edition of Checkpoint. It's just 4 days to that election, and you're probably asking yourself, so why does this matter? Why does this require a national discussion on this issue? Well, we'll tell you why. Let's explain to you exactly the formation of the Law Society of Kenya. Now, it's important to understand their mandate. They advise and assist members of the legal profession, the government, and the larger public in all matters relating to the administration of justice in Kenya. You've, over the years, over the last few decades, heard them speak on matters of national interest. When we're talking about the review of Kenya's constitution, on matters corruption, the LSK does have that mandate to advise and guide the members of the public as well as the government. So this is actually established in an Act of Parliament as the Law Society of Kenya Act, and you will be surprised to know that it was formed in 1948 by the Law Society of Kenya Ordinance Act, and they've had a substantive chair from 1949, the first one being Humphrey Slade, all the way to the current outgoing, that's Eric Mutua. So how do their elections take place? Let's take a quick look at this. First of all, a notice of vacancies is given not later than 42 days before the election date that is usually fixed. So that ideally would be not later than the 19th of November of each election year. Then the Secretary sends notices to all members announcing the vacancies in the Council, the Disciplinary Tribunal, and the Judicial Service Commission, as the case may be. And in doing that, he invites nominations, he or she rather, invites nominations to these positions. The notice of vacancies will specify the date by which the nominations for available vacancies must be done. Now, who qualifies? Well, a nominee is any person, of course, who's wishing to vie in any of these positions, will send their nomination to the Secretary in writing, and it must be signed by the candidate himself or herself or a nominee, and must be signed by two other nominators who are members of the society and qualify to vote at this election. And then the Secretary will go through that and confirm that the person nominated is actually entitled to be a voter. What happens then? The election is by secret ballot, and this year, as has happened previously, it will be presided over by the Independent and Electoral Boundaries Commission. So the position that we are taking a look at today is the LSK president. So I'd like to introduce you a little briefly before you get to meet them later on in this one. Let's start with Okero Isaac Edwin, who's a partner at Bihari and Okero Advocates, and he's based in Kisumu. He's also a former LSK Kisumu branch chair, and he claims and he says he established the standard of litigation in Kisumu. The second candidate who's vying for the position of President of the Law Society of Kenya, James Agri Mwamu, who's the immediate past President of the East African Law Society. He is a current LSK Council member and is also a member of the International Bar Association. The final candidate that we will be seeing later on Checkpoint, Alan Gishui Wayaki. He's a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators and is a member of ISPAC, that's the Institute of Certified Public Accountant Secretaries. And then we have he's a senior partner at Wamai and Allen Advocates. So these are the gentlemen that you will be seeing a little later on Checkpoint. Who amongst them will restore what many are saying is the lost glory of the LSK? We will be getting into that discussion in just a short while. So keep your comments coming in. The hashtag Checkpoint and also LSK debate. Those are the hashtags we're using. So let's just compile a story for you now and get to know them a little better. It's just 4 days to the Law Society of Kenya elections, and the campaigns are in top gear among the 75 lawyers contesting various positions in the LSK Council. Tonight, KTN's Murini Mwangi gives a profile of the three candidates who are contesting for the LSK presidency and key highlights of their campaign manifesto.
There's not so civilized behavior of the learned friends during the March 2015 LSK annual general meeting was probably the most open display of the deep-seated wrangles in the lawyers' body. And with barely 4 days to the LSK polls, a tight race looms for the LSK presidential seat, pitting three brilliant legal minds in a contest akin to the proverbial clash of the titans. On the LSK presidential race is former East African Law Society President James Agri Mwamu, city lawyer Allen Wayaki Gishohe, and former Kisumu LSK branch chairman Isaac Okero, all of who are relying on the votes of 7,672 advocates poised to participate in the exercise.
I am best suited, given my track record in standing for the people of this country, and also standing for our members, and also standing for the rule of law.
I'm the only one who from the outset has recognized that the general meeting is the supreme authority of the Law Society of Kenya.
City lawyer Alan Gishohe is banking on his 6 years experience as a member of the LSK Council and his contribution in drafting of the practice directions being presently used at the Court of Appeal and the Commercial and Land Division of the High Court to convince the learned friends that he is best suited to take over the mantle of the LSK presidency. Gishohe's campaign manifesto is hinged on the slogan of Restore, Re-energize and Dignify, on the promise of pushing for the recruitment of more judicial officers to address the inadequacy of staff in the courts, in addition to addressing concerns of young lawyers, especially on issues of their pay and mentorship.
Now this is an opportunity.
Agri Mwamu, on the other hand, is banking on his experience as a former vice chair of the LSK and his tenure as president of the East African Law Society to persuade the learned friends to look his way during the polls.
If you look at the Constitution of 1963, part of the problem we have is that it was mutilated by small pieces of amendments and legislations and policies over the years. And we are seeing that creeping back. You therefore need a president who is going to stand for the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya.
Kisumu-based lawyer Isaac Okero is on the other hand banking on his many years experience under the Kisumu LSK sub-branch to drive the LSK agenda to all the advocates, including those operating up-country, whom he admits feel left out on the LSK decision-making chain.
Primary reason for all the wrangles that we have seen is the failure of the leadership of the LSK to recognize that the Law Society of Kenya is a society for the members.
Gishohe says he will increase budgetary allocations to LSK branches if elected president, and also promises to hold quarterly meetings with the branch chairpersons to address grassroots concerns. But on the issue of the controversial International Arbitration Center, which occasioned the wrangles witnessed during the 2015 AGM, all the three candidates appear to be in agreement that LSK members were not adequately consulted before commencement of the project, under which every member was to contribute 39,000 shillings. Gishohe proposes that the project should be stopped, adding that as president he would convene a meeting within 60 days to reach a consensus on all LSK property at South Sea and Lavington.
Even in the way that the International Arbitration Center was conceived and the execution of that project, particularly when it came to how the project will be financed, the leadership completely disregarded the will of the general meeting.
The February 25th LSK elections have ignited fierce campaigns on social media and on the ground as members meet regional members of the lawyers' body in the hunt for the votes. Muremi Mwangi, KTN News, Nairobi.
Orange Telecom have been crowned the Kenya Hockey Premier League champions after thrashing Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology 7-0 in a match that was played at City Park. Telecom retains the title almost 2 months before the league comes to an end. In another match, KCA University emerged victorious after over Green Sharks at the same grounds.
A jubilant Telkom Orange took on Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, knowing that a win could crown them champions with a dozen of matches left before the league comes to an end. It did not take time for Telkom to find the signal as Glanis Nasamuki sounded the boards before Lil and Aura doubled the lead. Jen Ofula bagged her first of the game and Telkom's third in the 20th minute. Flavian Mutiva and Terry Masibo scored a piece each before the Breathers Orange onslaught continued. In the second half, JKUAT found it difficult to handle Telkom's attacks as Jen Ofula and Jackie Mwangi made it 7. Captain Betsy Omala ensured her name was on the score sheet as she scored her team's final goal. Orange, who have only conceded once this season, are hoping to continue with that run until the end of the season.
This was just a confirmation that we are still on the right to winning the league for the 18th time again. Our target is not the league matches. We use the league matches to gauge ourselves if we are ready to play in the club championship. And what happens is that we ask ourselves a simple question anytime we walk into the pitch. If a team like Nigeria was playing against the team that we've just played against, would they beat them with the same margin or more goals? And if you realize that they would have scored more goals, we work extra hard to make sure that we maintain a different kind of level.
We're very excited. We're loving. We are just kind of swimming into the moment and enjoying every minute of it. And as a team, we are just very happy about it.
It's just for us to work on our systems and to just keep getting better and getting more exposed.
In other matches of the day, KC emerged 3-2 winners over Green Sharks as Kabarak University beat Daystar Falcons 1-0. Robinson Okenye, KTN Sports.